I'm really delighted to welcome Posy to the Institute this evening to talk about Flaubert. She probably needs very little introduction. Maybe a good place to begin would be with simply a short reading to allow us to hear the flavour of Flaubert's prose.
This is a very short paragraph, and it's from my favourite book, which is Madame Bovery. And it just shows Flaubert's genius at description. Here is Madame Bovery described by fire and in air and in light. Madame Bovery made for the kitchen fireplace. With the tips of her fingers, she took hold of her dress at the knees. I liked Flaubert partly because of his visual quality. I mean, the immense detail, the way that you could picture a scene. Just in front of us, there was a very, very beautiful young Italian woman exuding such ennui and despair. She was surrounded by sort of Prada shopping bags and very good Kelly handbag. And I copped all that. And she was being extremely sort of nasty to, I think, her lover or her ex-lover, sort of bossing him around. And she ordered, she looked the combination of sort of despair. And this friend of ours, Italian friend, said, "Look, there's Madame Bovery." And we were just fascinated. We watched her a very long time. It was very rude of us, sort of behind our men. And that gave me the idea. So when I came back, I said to the Guardian, I think it's going to be a sort of retelling of Madame Bovery, but up to date. Boverism is something which goes on, is evergreen. It's the dissatisfaction with your life, the feeling of emptiness, the feeling that you might change things. I mean, now we might think, the equation is Botox plus boob job equals happiness. He took her hand, and she didn't withdraw it. "General Prize," cried the chairman, "just now, for instance, when I came to call on you, Monsieur Bizet of Quincampoix. How could I know that I should escort you here?"
After two such extraordinary reimaginings of classics, can we look forward to a third?
There is one on the Hob, and it's been there. Yeah. It's been there a long time. I mean, it seems to have, although both the previous ones did take quite a long time. It's you then have to draw everything, and then you suddenly think, I really don't know what a combine harvester looks like, and then you have to go and look one up and draw it. Or I suppose you can cheat and say it was foggy, or it was behind the hedge. But they're very labour intensive to begin with. Both the visual, the pictures have to work, and the dialogue. The pictures, for instance, do all the work of description. You don't have to say, this is a typical Norman house and it's surrounded by trees and there's an overflowing dustbin. You just draw it. You don't have to say that Joubert is a man of medium height and he's wearing this and that. You draw him. So the pictures do everything. They do weather, they do landscape, they do all the details. I found that narrative was very good as acting as a kind of break, so that if you had a lot of conversation, and bubbles are quite tiring to read, and there's an effect, I think the French called glissage, which is where your eyes slide over the page because you're bored of reading balloons, and you go to the one at bottom right hand and you read that one and say, oh, I see, that's what happened.
Flaubert said, Madame Bovery, c'est moi. What is your relationship with Gemma?
I would. She's not actually me, but the baker, Joubert, I think is Joubert c'est moi.
Never, as long as I live, shall I allow anyone to illustrate me, because the most beautiful literary description is eaten up by the most wretched drawing. As soon as a figure is fixed by the pencil, it loses that character of generality, that harmony with 1,000 known objects which makes the reader say, I've seen that, or that must be so. A woman in a drawing looks like one woman, that's all. The idea is closed, complete, and every sentence becomes useless, whereas a written woman makes one dream of 1,000 women. Therefore, since this is a question of aesthetics, I absolutely refuse any kind of illustration. But in 1874, he did finally permit an illustrated edition of Madame Bovery.
Thank you to Gustave Flaubert, even in absentia. Thank you very much to Posy Simmonds for speaking so revealingly about her work tonight, and thank you for coming along.